and welcome to my 13th tutorial. In this tutorial you're going to learn about using files, how to use files and how to read files and write files through a program, of course. In order to do that you need to include an F-string library. And that library gives us the ability to read and write files. So let's start with a writing example. Example of how to write a file. Let's declare an outFileStream variable that we're going to call writer, and we are going to write to a file called file1. Of course, this file doesn't need to exist. In my project folder, as you can see, there are no file1.txt files. By executing this, we are going to create file1, and of course, when you do this, you can run the program. We're going to see that our program runs and stops, and file1 is executed. Of course, the file is blank because we didn't write anything to the file. And now we're going to write something actually in the file. It's simple as writing text to a console window. Instead of console out, you just write writer and you write some text like that. You can also add an end line and you can write some more text. So you can write numbers, they're considered strings, and you need to close the file after finishing writing. That's important, so other programs and you can access the file. Sometimes C++ does that automatically, but you should always close the file. Operating system does that also, but you should close the file because sometimes it may get messy if you don't do that. So close the file, and when you run the program, it will just execute. We can go to our folder and we can see that file1 is created again, and we see the contents of our file. When we try to modify something here and run the program again, the file will be overwritten and the contents will be the same as the first time. So that's simple for writing in the current directory where our exe file is, or currently our project is executing in that directory. But if you try to write to Windows folder, it won't work because you don't have permission to do that. So we need to check if our file is open before writing or reading from it. And in order to do that, we're gonna check if writer is open. If that's true, we can do this. And we're going to display a message for us that says that writing was success. Success. So, and else if we cannot write the file, it will say error. Simple as that, and I'm gonna add a new line here. Excuse me. And when we run the program, we don't see the output because I didn't pause the program. Command. This only works on Windows, so this is not compatible with other operating systems such as Linux or Mac. You cannot run the pause command because most of the time it won't be available on your system. So writing was a success. And when we open the file, you see the same contents. But if you try to write, for example, to C Windows folder and to file1, to create the file1 in Windows folder and run the program, it will say error because we don't have sufficient permissions to write that directory. So you see that this is very important because our program couldn't write to that specific location, and it will say to the user, hey, I cannot write to this location, you need to do something else. For example, you can prompt the user for change the file name and file path so you can write to other location and something like that. So that's a simple example of how to write. You can also do like console out command. You can write some text and some variables. For example, there are, and we can write the value of birds, for example. We don't have that variable declared, but it will be type integer. So I'm going to declare it birds, and we are going to say that it's equal to 10. And when we run this program, sorry, I forgot to change the path of our file, and let's call it file2 now. And when we run it, writing was a success, that's good sign. And we can see that file2 is created. When we open the file, it will say there are 10 birds. So you can see you can use variables, you can use text, strings like this. You can use almost any variable that we used previously, for example, float or double, short, or other data types that support writing to files directly. So that's something about writing to files. Let's get on with reading from files. It's simple, it's almost the same as writing to files, but you need to declare input file stream, and I like to call it reader, the variable I like to call reader, and we need to read something from a file. So let's read, for example, the contents of file 3, also the txt, and we're going to create that file here. But first of all, let's say there are two variables in our file that we are going to read. They are int a and b, and we are going to sum them and to show the sum of those variables by reading them from a file first. So let's check if we can open the file. If reader is open, so if file is open, we do reading like input in the console window. It's the same, just type reader except of console and reader and a, and also you can say b like this. It doesn't really matter if you would type something like this or something like this, it's the same. But well, let it be like this. And we need to create them to show that sum of variables, variables a and b, sorry for typos, is a plus b, and we can end the line. Also, we need to close the file that is opened, but you should note that if the file doesn't exist, then the program can't read the values. So because of that we check if the file is open, and if the file is not there, we can prompt the user for changing the path or something like that, or we can just say the file isn't available at that location, or just print an error or something like that. So I'm going to type error, and when I run the program, file 3 is not in our directory. As you can see, let's say roar, and now I'm gonna create the file tree. That would contain two variables. The first one is a, and it will be equal to 10, and the second will be 20. And when I close the file and run it, you're going to see the sum of variables a and b is 30. So it works correctly. Also, you can also change it. You don't need to type them in one line, but you need to note that space is considered as the next variable, or an enter is considered as the next variable. If you type the values like this, it's the same as typing it in one line. When you run a program, it will read it the same way. Those are some basic operations with files you can do. In the next tutorial, I will be showing you how to use the files more efficiently, and maybe we're going to make something interesting. So if you have any questions, please comment in the video or send me a message. I will be glad to help you, and thanks for watching, and please subscribe.